All right, welcome back everyone. Back for another tutorial session here on YouTube. I'm Chris with DecoNetwork and I'll be the host for today's session. So we've got quite a bit of cool stuff planned for today's session. We are going to cover some of the same user questions. We had quite a few submitted through the blog, so we'll make sure to cover those. We do also want to take some time to highlight some really cool new functionality that we've introduced with our latest update, and that's the ability to set granular production statuses. So we'll jump into that first. It's really cool functionality. This has been long requested, and so we're really glad to now have this in the system. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my admin section. And just to give some feedback, kind of let's give an overview of what production statuses really means for you. So throughout, we've had users submitting in requests that they, for example, want the ability to know when an order is going through the production process. Let's say when it's going through the creating film from screen printing. And once that film is created, they want to know once an order is going through the process of creating the screens, imaging the screens, then maybe setting up the press. So, right, those types of more specific statuses we haven't had the ability to do, but now we do. And so it's really cool. And let's go ahead and take a look. So the first place where you're going to set these up is in your main settings section. So if you're in your admin area, you'll click into settings. From there, you'll click production and order settings, and you're going to see this new option here, production statuses. So if we click into that, you'll see I already has some created here in my system. So I've got create films, burn screens, and set up press. So these are related to my screen printing process. We could also add some additional ones. So I think I was on the last session or the one before, we added some products from the Conde catalog, which we just recently started bringing into DecoNetwork. And there might be some additional production steps which we want to identify for those products. So what we can do, we can start again adding some additional production statuses. So one of those might be, treating sublimation surface. I'm not too familiar with that catalog, but let's just say some of those need some kind of treatment beforehand. For this status, we can determine which processes it's suitable for. So I'll enable it just for sublimation, and then I can give it a color. This is just for the visual, so I'll set it green with white text. So let's save that status. We now see that added to our list here, and I'll do another one for sublimation. We'll call that print sublimation transfer. All right, again, I'll set that up just for sublimation process, and I'll give this one a purple background. Cool, so I've got those two additional ones in there now. So this is where we define those statuses globally, right? Now, as far as where these statuses get assigned, we have a lot of flexibility built into this new system as far as letting the system know where these different statuses are applicable so that the system handles it automatically for you. You don't have to go in and manually do it. So one of the first areas that you can jump into is product defaults. So if you're familiar with product defaults, which we've covered on a previous tutorial session, these are essentially groups of products that you can go in and configure. For example, one of those that we include by default is the apparel product group. So if we go into there, we click into production statuses, we see the list that we set up globally on the previous screen. And we have the ability to say, for this group of products, I want to specify the production statuses. So for apparel, I'm not going to use these two sublimation ones. So I can uncheck those. I'm only interested in seeing those screen related ones. All right, so I can go ahead and save that change. All right, I might do the same for, let's say, the accessories group, where a lot of those Conde products are filed into. So I might go in there, again, click into production statuses, specify my production statuses, and turn off the screen print related ones. Right, so this is just giving the system a little bit more information so that it can handle things a little bit quicker for us. All right, so that's one way to do it. Even taking it further beyond that, we also allow you to do this at the product level. So if there's a specific product that has its own production workflow, maybe it's even an apparel item. It's a special shirt that has, an additional step required to it. Maybe it's a DTG shirt that requires being pre-treated, right? And you add pre-treat as that additional production status. Um, so what you can do is you can click into an individual blank item. There you'll also find a production statuses tab. And just like we did with the product default or the product group, you can go in and specify which you're going to allow for this specific product, right? So you can imagine if we had one for pre-treat DTG garment, you could check that on and it would apply for just this product, right? So some really cool stuff as far as how to set it up. Now let's take a look at what that looks like inside of our business hub, right? And when it comes time to actually tracking the production. So let's click in to open my business hub. All right, so here's the business hub. Let's see if I have an order that's already in production. So I do have one here. Let's take a look. All right, so I have one for screen printing. And you'll notice that in Business Hub, I now have this new production status column, which is that column that's going to allow you to filter down to those specific statuses that you've set up in the admin section. So I have all of those here: create films, burn screens, setup press, things like that. So you can filter in, you can do a search for all the orders under a specific status. That's really powerful. You can also change the status from here. So if you're a production manager and you're in this screen, let's say you're done setting up the press on that, you click that option, and you might have an additional status there for ready to print or whatever the case might be. So it's really quick to change those production statuses. Let's take a look at creating an order for sublimation so we can see how the system automatically knows which statuses to pull up. So we'll do add new order. We'll select random customer here and we'll add a product. Let's pull one up from the Conde catalog. Okay, we'll do the phone stand and we'll quickly pull that into the designer. We'll choose to add a sublimation design. And let's see if we have something on desktop here. We'll pull in this image here. Again, I'll just expand that out, fill the space, and then we'll do our stand base. We'll do the same. Let's see if we can choose the same image here. And we'll just do a different crop on that. Okay, cool, that looks cool. So we'll hit done. And we'll go ahead and submit this through. Just for the purpose of showing the production step, I'm going to skip the PO. So I'm going to save that order. Okay, and I just need to go into the payments, log a payment or a credit so I can move it into production. We'll add a credit there, and that should get us into production. So let's jump into the production tab. Okay, so you'll see this is the new order down here at the bottom, and automatically, since it is from that accessories product default that we have those products filed into, it's already showing that it's in the first step, treating sublimation surface. And then I could click into that, say switch it off to print sublimation transfer once I'm ready for that, and continue moving that through the different production statuses. And that could be either a production team member doing that, a production manager, or an admin. So really powerful stuff, allowing you to, again, track individual specific steps through your production process and giving you control as far as tracking all of that information. Cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start taking in some questions. So I see we already have some questions coming in through the chat, which is cool. Let's go ahead and start answering some of those. So Justin's asking if it's possible to sort product colors in a specific order. So let's take a look at what he's referring to. If I go into my product screen and I pull up my first item here, the 3930, and I click into the colors tab, he's talking about this colors list here. So unfortunately, there's no way to sort those in any specific order. The order that they're displaying is the order that they were added or sent, the order they were sent in by the supplier to DecoNetwork. Um, if I'm not mistaken, and let's double check this, I believe on the website they may show alphabetically. Let's double check. Okay, so I only have one color enabled there. Let's try a different item. There we go. No, yeah, they're displaying in that same sort order. So it's going off of the order the supplier added those colors to the product. That might be a good one that you can submit into the ideas page, Justin. We did cover submitting feature requests into the ideas page on a previous session, so definitely feel free to submit that in, and we'll consider it for a future update. But yeah, this time it's going based off of the supplier information. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and jump into some questions that we received through the blog earlier this week. We had quite a bit of questions come in through there, so hopefully we have enough time to get to those. First question, straightforward one from KFam. He's asking, can he set up his website in his local language? I guess he's in Vietnam, so he's trying to get his system in Vietnamese. So it's a good question, and something that we've not really covered through the sessions here, as far as what languages DecoNetwork is offered in, and how we go about offering DecoNetwork in multiple languages. So it is an important topic to go ahead and cover and give some insight into. If you're logged into your system and you go into the settings section, there is a section for localization, which allows you to switch between different languages. So the languages that display here are the ones that we currently make available. And these are made available essentially by user-submitted translations. So in every case where you see a language here, it's been a DecoNetwork user who's gone in and made those translations. If there's a language that's not offered here, it may be the case that we have someone working on that translation, but it's not quite ready to, for everyone to start using it. So oftentimes we'll kind of keep those hidden away until they're ready. It's also the case that no one's ever asked for DecoNetwork in that specific language. So if you're someone that's familiar with that language as well as fluent in English, you may be a candidate to go ahead and translate DecoNetwork into a language that it's not currently offered in. So I guess in either case, what I would recommend is for you to submit a support ticket letting us know that you're looking to start using DecoNetwork in Vietnamese and it's not currently an offered option. And we'll see where we're at with that on our end, as far as whether we already have someone translating that into Vietnamese. Perhaps we can go ahead and switch your site to that kind of partial Vietnamese language while it's in progress, or if there's nothing in progress, we could look at maybe you jumping in on that. So thanks for that question. All right. So next up, we're going to take a look at a question from Brian. He's asking a question about Business Hub. He wants to know how he can get prices for different sizes to show up on his invoices rather than an average price uh, across all sizes, so an average unit price. So we can definitely take a look at that. Again, let me open up my Business Hub. Okay, and so let's go ahead and create a quote. All right, and let's add some product onto this. Hopefully it's an item that offers some sizes that have surcharges. Here we go. So I've got medium, and then I've got 3XL, which has quite a bit of a surcharge. So if I were to do 10 mediums and 10 3XL, I end up with an average unit price, right? It's kind of an average between the price of the 3XL and the medium. And so what Brian's trying to do, he wants his invoices to have per size unit prices accurate to that size. So the way you would do that is to actually split off those line items into separate lines. So you'll have one for the mediums, and then you'll add a second line and do the 10 3XLs. Right, so by splitting them off into their own line, now when we look at unit price, it's accurate to that size that was specified. You can also kind of merge those in. Let's say you're doing, small through 3XL, you're doing every size. You could do all your ones that are 314 on that first line. And then any that have a different price, you'll do on their own line. So you'll do 3X on its own line, and then you might do 2XL on its own line as well. All right, so it's just a matter of splitting those off when they have a different price so that it can show accurately on your invoice. All right, so that's the workaround for that. Hopefully that helps out, Brian. And I'm just going to save off this order here, and I'll pull up the invoice so we can see what that looks like if it were to be sent off to your customer. All right, so we'll do view as customer here. Okay, and here it is. So you can see each line item showing that unique unit price. So you're no longer getting that averaged out price across all the different sizes. So Brian did have a follow-up. He's mentioning when, with this workaround, it would require going in and adding the decoration to each line item, which is true. One thing you might do to kind of speed that up is design on the first line item and then copy that line item to do your subsequent ones. So copy it and then just change the sizes. That way you don't have to reapply the artwork. All right, and then Justin has a follow-up question about colors, fabric colors, some being more expensive than other ones. Can he price per color? Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at that. We jump into the product section. Yeah, I think I have a custom one here somewhere. Here we go. So imagine this is a custom product that you're building out. If you go into the pricing section, there's a few different ways that the system will allow you to set your price on a blank for. You can do a single price, which is just one flat price across that entire item. You can also do a different price per color type. So if you're able to kind of split up your colors into 3 different types, white, light, or dark, you can do that and specify 3 different prices. Let's say 5 for the white, 7 for the light, and 10 for the dark. Or if you want, like you said, per color or per SKU pricing, you can also do that. That's the last option here, use SKU pricing. If you then press edit SKU pricing, it's going to give you a table here. And let me just add some more information here so it looks a little bit more interesting. So let me turn on my size field and let me add a color. Yep. All right, so let's go back, edit SKU pricing. So you'll get a table that looks something like this, right? So you're going to be able to specify the price for every color and size combination. So that's going to give you the best option. If, for example, black is 5 and baby blue is $4.50, and then maybe buffalo is $6, you can do that. All right. Hopefully that helps out Justin on creating your custom products. All right, question in the chat from Scooby-Doo asking about Conde Systems items. Is that all that was allowed? There's Sublimation Blanks Company, but nowhere are there garments available, yet sublimation is offered. I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm gonna ask for some clarification on that. I'm not sure if you're asking whether the products that we have in the system only allow sublimation for a specific reason, or I'm not sure if you're asking about garments from Conde being made available. So if you could just clarify on that, we'll go ahead and tackle that question. Ruben, just joining in, asking if we already covered production statuses. We did cover that at the start of the session, Ruben. We did kind of a highlight on how that works. You can always catch the recording after the session is over here and see what we covered on that topic. Okay, so clarification from Scooby-Doo on the garments. Where are the garments? So as far as Conde, right now we're working through adding in the products over time. So what you see available right now is just kind of the start. We'll continue to add more products over time. And that has to do kind of on both ends, right? So Conde is going to continue providing DecoNetwork additional product information, right? They haven't provided us their entire product database in a way that's suitable for the online designer. We covered that on the session where we talked about Conde being introduced. We've started a relationship with them, and part of that on their end means they're working on creating product photos, imagery of their items in a way that's suitable for our online designer and kind of that front-on facing view. So, there's work on both ends that needs to be done to get all those products added. So our team's going through the data that we have from them and getting those products added, and on their end, they're going to continue getting data ready for us and sending that over so we can continue adding those products. So certainly over time, you're going to see more and more products in different categories available from that vendor. All right, so hopefully that clarifies on that. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff that you can certainly do with those sublimated all over apparel items. So if those are available in the Conde catalog, we look forward to getting that information so we can get those added. All right, so Carlos threw the blog comment with a question on which products are selected by default when your online designer opens on your website. Is there a way to change that? He's also asking when you're going through the website and you choose a design, and that design is previewed on different products, how do you change which products are shown there? All right, so that's kind of the same question, two different ways. We can definitely take a look at that, Carlos, and looks like actually part of that was answered by Campbell, an existing DecoNetwork user. So thanks for that, Sis Campbell. He's right on the money on that answer. As far as which product opens when you open up the designer with no product selected, it's the first product in your product list. So if you want to change that, it's just a matter of changing your sort order to make the desired product first in your list. And that goes the same with the other section, but let's actually walk through it so we can go ahead and give Carlos that visual feedback. So I'm back in my admin section into the products area. And if you look on the top right corner here of the screen, we've got a sort button. So we can go ahead and press sort. Actually, before we do that, let's just visualize for everyone here what Carlos is talking about. So if I go to my website here and I jump into the designer with no product selected, it's going to pull in some product. So his question was, what product is that? How do I change it? If we go back to our products list and take a look at our sort order, the item loaded in is the first item in our list. So that's how we determine that. So it's the first available product which can be decorated, right? If you had a product here at the top which was a non-decoratable item, like a pillow, which you're not doing any decoration on, that wouldn't open up in the designer. So it has to be available for decoration. And that second section that Carlos was talking about, let's take a look. That's under the designs page. So if you click into your designs page and you pick a design, that design is then previewed on a series of blanks. So he was asking, how are these determined and how could you change that? So it's the same idea. You'll notice the order of products that you see here: HD cotton short sleeve, HD cotton women's short sleeve, soft spun crew neck is the same order that we have here in our backend sort page. So HD cotton women's, soft spun crew neck. All right, so it's all having to do with your product sort order. All right, so if we want to, let's say, showcase the crew neck first, we can send that to the top. That's going to be now our default designer item. We might want to move up the women's crew neck, the matching women's style on position 2. And then we might want the hoodies up there as well. So you can also drag and drop on this page, which is pretty cool. So we'll just drag those up, something like that, and save that change. Okay, so sorting has been changed. If I go back and refresh my designer page, you'll notice the first product, the default product loaded in, is now the soft spun crew neck. If I go to my football design page and refresh that, first items are now the soft spun, and I've got the soft spun hooded sweatshirts up there as well. All right, hopefully that helps out, Carlos. I'm just going to do something quick here. um, on the designs page. While I'm looking at it, I'm noticing these thumbnails are kind of small. Um, so that's something cool that we added with the DecoNetwork 8 web page editor. I believe you can now change the size of those thumbnails. So let's go in and just enlarge those a bit so we can get a better preview. All right, so I can click the View Design widget. Let's click into the design section, and here we have an option for product thumbnail size, which I can click in and switch to, let's say, large. That looks pretty cool. You can also change how many products display there. So let's say I only want my top 8 items there. So I can lower that number, hit OK, and then save that change. So I'm just going to save and publish, and then we can refresh our page to see that change live. Cool, so that looks much better. You can see those nice large previews on the page there. All right, so Ruben is coming in with an assist as well on the session here. He's saying that Conda is focusing on their own products that they've developed. T-shirts and apparel usually are from Vapor Apparel, and there are also hundreds of products from Unisub. So there may be other vendors offering garments, not necessarily Conde. So I know Ruben's doing a lot of things in that sublimation space, so he has quite a bit of information on that. Thanks for the details there. All right, and we have a question from Brian. He's asking, what's the best way to handle multiple contacts from the same company? Currently in DecoNetwork, there's no way to add a business with multiple contacts. All right, so let's take a look at Business Hub. You're correct, Brian. There's no way to do it in the system today. It is one of the top voted ideas in the system, and as you can imagine, it is definitely going to get some attention from our team. So we are looking to add that functionality, essentially account-based customer record. So you'll have an account, and then that account can have multiple contacts or customers within that. You can look forward to that, some point in the future. In the meantime, what's the best way to handle it? I would say, there's no great way, but the best way is, just create a different customer account for each customer within that company. The issue probably comes in, in terms of invoicing. If you're looking to invoice the entire company at once, there's going to be some manual work that you'll have to do there in terms of, let's say, adding up a total amount. If let's say that company is going to cut you a check for all of the open orders throughout, anyone ordering from that company, Joe and Jane and whoever else is ordering. So you'll need to kind of tally that up manually. But yeah, so right now you're doing those as separate customers in DecoNetwork. But hopefully down the line we'll have that solution to have the account-based setup. All right, so let's jump back to the blog here. Justin submitted quite a bit of questions through the blog comments, so let's see if we can get through all of them in the time that we have left. And it looks like some of those questions, Justin, if you're in the session here, some of your questions are really more kind of requests. So you're asking about functionality that isn't necessarily in the system. Things like the ability to assign a client to a sales rep and then having all of that client's orders be assigned to that sales rep. Those are definitely features that you'll want to take to the ideas page. I would definitely search to see if that's already in there. That feels like something that would already be in there. So if it's in there, just add your vote of support to make sure that the team is aware of how much demand we've got for a specific request. Just looking through some of your other questions here. Yeah, so same as far as the option to categorize the reasons why a customer might be tax exempt. So that's something that is not necessarily in DecoNetwork today. So if you want to see that, definitely submit it as a feature request. Eve saying the screen has not changed. Let's double check on that. We may be having some technical difficulties. Let's see, I may have to stop the stream briefly and bring it back. All right, so hopefully that did the trick there. Resetting the stream. We'll give it a couple minutes here. I'll wait to see in the chat to make sure everyone's seeing the products list. All right, looks like that screen seems to be updating now. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so let's just finish up with Justin's questions here. Again, quite a bit of those are just kind of feature requests. So he's asking about price tables. Is there a way to set a certain amount for the second location, third location, so on and so on? Last he checked, there was only a way to do it by percentage. So there is a way to set per print location pricing, but it is on a per product basis, right? If you think about each product in DecoNetwork manages its print locations separately. There's no kind of bulk way to assign pricing across a print location that would flow through all products in your system. But we can go ahead and quickly review how you might set on an individual product pricing specific per print location. So if you configure a blank item and you jump into the pricing section, there's a table here that displays the price breakdown, and there's a section for the decoration price. You do have the option to switch your decoration price to custom pricing or advanced pricing, and then open up the edit price pop-up. Once you're editing the price, there's kind of a further step you can take, which is to use advanced pricing, and this is where you can set per print location pricing. So if you if you check use advanced pricing on that edit price pop-up, you're going to get a little bit of a daunting table here. It's a matrix of decoration processes and print locations. So I've got, for example, DTG, vinyl heat press, screen printing. All these processes processes are available on my body front and my back decoration areas. So if for whatever reason I wanted the body front for vinyl to be $5 and the vinyl back to be $7, I can go ahead and specify those. I will mention right now all of my decoration processes are set to single price, so that's how I'm able to kind of just quickly set a specific dollar amount. But let's say you're using a price table, what you would see instead when you uncheck default price, you would see a drop down. And so you'll select between the different price tables that you make available. All right, so if you want to make, let's say, one price table be used for the front and a different price table be used for the back, which has different pricing, you can certainly do that. Again, you are just doing that on a per product basis because individual products can have completely different print location configurations, right? One product may not even have a back view. One product may have left and right chest only and no body area. So it is all per product. But hopefully that answers that, and I think that takes care of all of Justin's questions. Let's see here. Adrian had a question through the chat. I'm not sure if it was a question or a comment. Stick search question. I have 1,000 of products. This back to the beginning each time thing. So if you could just kind of clarify, Adrian, what you're referring to there or what the question is, we can go ahead and get you helped out. All right, so back to the questions. We had a question from Stacy, who asked, "Is it possible for customers to apply the same logo or placement across multiple garments?" So she's talking about the front end designer uh, and the use case where you might have someone go in, design a shirt, and then they want that same design on a hoodie, for example. So that's definitely possible. We can walk through that process and kind of show that off. So I'll just use this product that we already have loaded as the example. The thing to understand for this to really work well, your products have to kind of be similarly. All right, hello guys. Sorry about that. We are back. Sorry about that technical difficulty. Let's get back to answering your guys' question. So, yeah, sorry, Adrian, I missed that comment that you had submitted up at the top. So we'll get to your question next. But let me just address Stacy's question here on applying the same design across multiple products. All right, so let's go in and take a look here. I'm in the designer, and I was mentioning before the session cut out there. Um, in order for this to work well, you need those products to be kind of similarly set up in terms of views in the same order, like your front view first, your back view second, and then within those views, you want your decoration areas to be similarly sorted as well. Let's say body first, left chest second, right chest third, whatever that order that you want, you'll want to have those consistent throughout your products. And sometimes that does mean, if you're using the DecoNetwork catalog products, that does mean going in and making adjustments just because, again, each product could be configured differently. So let's go in and show this off. So I'll go in, choose Add Design. I'll choose DTG as the process here. And let me see if I can choose from some stock design. So we'll do the soccer. We'll just enlarge that a bit. Okay, and we're actually going to do these on maybe like an ash color, something like that. Looks cool. And then I'm just going to adjust the color. We'll say the color for this school is actually like a bright red. Let's tone that down actually. Okay, we'll apply the same color for the text up top. That looks good. Okay, so let's say I'm ready to order this item just as it's been decorated. So we'll hit buy. And of course, I got to select my product size. So let's say I'm doing 3 mediums on this. Hit buy. Okay. Um, and so this is where you get the option to apply that to a different product. So what you can do is choose the duplicate option. That's going to create another item using that exact same design, and then we'll be able to change the product on it. So I've got this second line item, same design, same product, same sizes. I can edit that duplicate. I can then go into the product tab, choose change product, and then browse. Let's say I want that same design for the women's cut, right? So I choose the women's style, same design, change the color to match the men's. All right, I'm back once again, guys. Sorry about the issue there. I'm just going to run through this just so we can show it off. We're kind of running out of time for today's session, so I'm just going to add that design. Again, go to buy. And from the cart pop-up that displays, you want to choose the duplicate option. So duplicate is going to create an exact copy of that item that you've just designed. Once you have the duplicate, you can edit that duplicate, go into the product menu, switch to a different product, and then buy that separate product. Or the buy button will actually change to an update button to let you know you're updating an item that's already existing in your cart. So you could do the same for any style of product. Let's say the second item could be a hoodie. It doesn't necessarily have to be a shirt. As long as, again, the views and print locations are similarly set up, it should work out for you. All right, so thanks for that question, Stacy. Let's try and get to everyone's questions here before the session's out. So I do want to address Adrian's question. Every time I select a custom product to edit and then go back to my full product list, I lose the place where I was at. So I have to input my search all over again. So my tip on that, what I would recommend is to open those products in a new tab. That's the easiest way for you to maintain your space as far as where you're at. If you open up a product You can actually right-click on the product name or the product code and do open it in new tab. And that won't change the tab where you've got kind of a search going. Let's say you were in advanced search, maybe searching by brand and doing that. Again, you can open in a separate tab and kind of maintain your space on that current tab. All right. Follow-up Deco is also dropping invoice numbers when one user is creating an invoice. Yeah, so I believe you submitted that, Adrian, through the support system. That's not necessarily so that has to do with the way DecoNetwork has to assign invoice numbers through the checkout. So we use up an invoice as soon as an order is created. You can avoid that if you're creating in Business Hub. Let's say you've got Business Hub open and you're creating a quote or an order. You can avoid invoice numbers being lost by closing out a quote that you're not going to finish. So if you add new order and you close it out, that frees up the order number. So if I go back and say add new order again, it's that same order number. The issue comes in when you start a new order or a quote, and let's say you refresh Business Hub or you close out Business Hub. If you don't close out those pending quotes, you're going to use up that order number. So if I do add new order, it's now at 102. So right, I used up that order by starting it and then never telling the system that I no longer wanted it. So there is a way to avoid it. Again, it's just make sure to close that off. If you're not going to finish the quote, just close it off, and that way it gets freed up for next time. All right, so I think that answers everyone's questions. Thanks, guys, for joining in for the session. Again, we did cover the really cool production status feature at the top of the session. So if you joined in late and missed out on that, tune in for the recording of today's session so you can go in and preview all of that detail that we went over as far as how to set up your production statuses and how to track those in Business Hub as well. Again, thanks, guys, for joining in. We look forward to catching you on the next one. If we do have some viewers that are not already DecoNetwork subscribers, feel free to go onto our website, DecoNetwork.com, sign up for a tour, book a tour, and have one of our client services team members give you a tour of the system. We'll show you in depth the backend Business Hub and show you how DecoNetwork can kind of benefit your business and how we can do business together. All right, thanks, guys, for joining in. Take care.
Staying up when I go out, you gotta know I'm all yours. But when I say what's that about, you start slurring your words. me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never